Queen Elizabeth I, the daughter of King Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. She ruled England and Ireland from 1558 to 1603, during the period often called the Elizabethan era, demanded obedience, and went down in history as the Virgin Queen. But behind the crown was a world of decay, blackened teeth, toxic beauty, and royal waste buckets. These 5 hygiene habits will forever change how you see Queen Elizabeth I. 1. Sugar. Queen Elizabeth I was the queen of a global empire and of an insatiable sweet tooth. She indulged in candied roses, sugar-coated almonds, and syrup-soaked fruits almost daily. In an age where sugar was rare and wildly expensive, consuming it wasn't just a craving, it was a display of power. But it came at a price. Her teeth blackened, decayed, and eventually fell out. Shockingly, this royal dental disaster became a trend. Nobles desperate to imitate her began blackening their own teeth, using charcoal or pitch, just to look more like the queen. In Tudor England, rotting teeth weren't a medical crisis. They were a mark of wealth and disturbing royal beauty. Elizabeth was known to brush her teeth with honey and sugar paste, making it worse. She reportedly had severe toothaches and dental issues, but refused extractions. Foreign ambassadors noted her breath and dental health in dispatches. They were not flattering. 2. Bathing. Queen Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, sparkled in brocade, pearls, and velvet. But beneath the glittering facade lay a royal secret. She rarely bathed. In Tudor England, water wasn't seen as cleansing, it was feared. Many believed bathing opened the pores and let in disease. Elizabeth, ever image-conscious and cautious, reportedly bathed only once a month, sometimes even less. Her physicians discouraged it. Her courtiers didn't question it. Instead of washing, she masked her scent with thick clouds of perfume. Rose oil, musk, and lavender drenched her skin, her undergarments, and even the heavy gowns she wore. But those gowns, they were rarely changed. Made of stiff, ornate fabrics, layered with embroidery, padding, and jewels, they were almost impossible to clean without ruining them. So Elizabeth often wore them for weeks on end. Some were even stitched directly onto her, making removal impractical if not impossible. Over time, the layers absorbed everything: body oil, sweat, perfume, and rot. She looked divine. But to be near her? That was another matter entirely. 3. Lead makeup. Her legendary porcelain white face wasn't natural, it was deadly. Queen Elizabeth I crafted an image of divine beauty, pale, unblemished, untouchable. But that ethereal glow came at a terrible cost. She wore Venetian ceruse, a mixture of white lead and vinegar, one of the most toxic beauty products in history. Day after day, year after year, she painted her face with poison. At first, it seemed like a miracle. The thick white paste masked the pitted scars left by childhood smallpox, smoothing her complexion and reinforcing the image of a flawless monarch. But beneath the surface, the lead was slowly destroying her. It seeped into her skin, entered her bloodstream, and wreaked havoc. She began losing her hair, including her eyebrows and patches from her scalp, forcing her to wear elaborate red wigs. Her teeth blackened. She suffered from insomnia, mood swings, and tremors, signs of chronic lead poisoning. Yet she refused to stop. Each time her skin cracked or blistered from a damage, she applied even more ceruse to cover it. The mask grew thicker. Her skin turned gray and brittle, flaking beneath the paint like a decaying statue. And still, the ritual continued, because to let the mask fall was to show weakness. And Elizabeth could never appear weak. By the end of her life, her physical decline was apparent. But her public image, the Virgin Queen, the glittering icon of England's golden age, had to remain intact. So she painted herself until the end, wearing the mask of perfection as both shield and prison. To Elizabeth, beauty wasn't luxury, it was duty. A crown of pain, a face of power, and a sacrifice she wore to the grave. 4. Lice-Infested Wigs. She may have been the Virgin Queen, but her wigs were anything but pure. Elizabeth I owned more than 80 elaborate wigs, each towering, curled, and powdered to perfection. But beneath the royal polish lay a crawling reality. These wigs, often made from horsehair or human hair, were breeding grounds for lice. No matter how regal they looked, they itched. Constantly. The court tried to mask the problem. Servants drenched the wigs in sweet oils and crushed rose petals. But even the perfumes couldn't hide the truth. Behind closed doors, the queen was often seen scratching beneath her crown. Because for all her power, not even royalty could escape the pests of the era. 5. Waste in buckets. Even Queen Elizabeth I, the most powerful woman of her age, couldn't escape the filth of Tudor living. Beneath the glitter of her gowns and the grandeur of her throne, a far grimmer ritual took place daily, one rarely spoken of. There were no golden toilets, no marble plumbing. Instead, Elizabeth sat on what was called a close stool, an ornate wooden chair lined with velvet, hiding a chamber pot beneath. It looked regal, but it smelled medieval. And who cleaned it? Not just any servant. It was the job of the groom of the stool, one of the most trusted men in the royal court. His task: to remove her waste, keep the pot clean, and sometimes even assist her personally. It was a role of strange intimacy and shocking prestige. To be trusted with the Queen's most private moments was a sign of deep favor and disturbing duty. Palaces had no drainage, so the smell of rot and human waste lingered behind the tapestries. Chamber pots were carried through stone halls, past courtiers in silk, and dumped outside, or worse, into cesspits near the kitchens. During royal banquets or state events, the situation grew dire. Buckets overflowed. Floors were soaked. The air grew thick with a stench that even incense and rose water couldn't mask. Disease was always just a breath away. In portraits, she was a goddess in pearls. In truth, she was a queen living above a cesspool. Because in the grand halls of power, even majesty had to go somewhere. Despite the jewels, gowns, and royal image, Queen Elizabeth I lived surrounded by grime, decay, and lice-infested grandeur. Behind the throne, history stinks, literally. Silk sheets didn't stop the fleas. Perfumed oils couldn't mask the chamber pot stench. Even royalty bled, itched, and rotted, just in gold-trimmed silence. This was power in the age of filth. This was beauty barely masking rot. Even the virgin queen couldn't hide the stink. If you're hungry for the truth behind the crown, the blood, the filth, the forgotten, tap subscribe for more dirty secrets from history's most glorious past.